Call of the Void contains strong language and possible trigger warnings and is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi everyone, I'm Daekon.
Hi, I'm Jack.
And welcome to Call of the Void, a podcast about all things weird and macabre. So, before we actually get started with anything today, I want to talk to you about something that happened kind of recently in the news. So, in Ipswich, England, there was this thing that happened. I'm going to send you a link. This is a thing that actually happened. Okay. So people, I'm sending you the link now. You should definitely listen to it.
All right.
People were hearing this in the middle of the night.
All right.
This was like 2 or 3 a.m. This was playing throughout the town of Ipswich, England, just randomly, right? And I'll actually put it in here so people can listen to it.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's super creepy, right? So, what this is apparently an alarm system that was set up by some shop in Ipswich to prevent people from loitering, of all things. It's a motion detector, and whenever it goes off, it plays like this really creepy music over loudspeaker, and it was happening at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in Ipswich, England. Can you take a guess what was causing it? Because it was not people.
A cat?
Nope.
Raccoons?
Nope. Did I hear you say spiders? Because it was spiders. Apparently,
I
very
love those
large,
eight-legged freaks.
Literally, the words that were used in the article that I read were very large spiders were causing
how large
the
are
motion
we talking
detector.
About?
I don't know.
Are they like
but
fucking
said,
rad scorpions or something? Like,
I have no idea.
Okay.
But then they were saying that like very large spiders were moving across the motion detector and causing it to go off, playing this creepy ass music at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Every time I've talked about this story, I've been like, this sounds like the plot to a horror movie. And the moment that I would have heard that music playing, I would have been out. Like, I would have been like, we're packing our things.
Which is
I don't
really
have time
funny.
for this horror movie bullshit.
Which is really
We're
funny
outie.
because my reaction is, oh, well, now I know where I'm moving if I ever move out of the States.
Like, literally, if I heard that playing over the loudspeaker in the middle of the night, I'd be out. Like, that'd be it. We'd be done. Like, it would be immediate, like, hey, pack your things. I know it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, but we gotta go. It's not gonna be long, but there's gonna be some weird supernatural slasher out here.
Like giant spiders?
Yeah, we gotta go. Like, we gotta book it. This whole town is cursed.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah. Like, if that's what woke me up, I don't know. Like, okay, if that's what woke me up, I would be terrified. And then once I found out what happened, I would be murderous.
Yeah, like, I don't understand. Like, apparently they had people, like, they couldn't figure out what was going on because it was, like, seemingly random that this, you know, that this was just playing. And eventually they did an investigation and found out that it was very large spiders.
But why is this store or whatever allowed to just have this giant loud thing?
I don't know. Apparently it was supposed to be, like, to prevent loitering. But, I mean, that makes it any better. Like,
yeah,
like,
and, I mean,
it has since been shut off. Like,
good.
Because, I mean, whenever I've talked about this story at work a few times and people have been like, oh, so I guess what did they do? Get rid of all the spiders? And I was like, you realize that spiders outnumber us like 6 billion to 1, right? Like, there'd be no way that they could have gotten rid of all of the very large spiders. They just turned off the alarm.
I just pictured a spider in, like, Braveheart paint, like, talking to a bunch of other spiders.
Oh, God. So if you weren't terrified of spiders before, they can also cause creepy music to play at, like, 3 a.m.
I chose the wrong music for Mr. Sweetly, let me tell you.
Dude, that music is so scary. Whatever, like, I originally heard this story on the radio and I was like, I would shit my pants. Like, that kind of music, like, kids just, like, I don't know, there's something about, like, children singing nursery rhymes that's absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah, eons ago, my boyfriend at the time, I was over his house and I forget where we were. I think we had, like, just finished eating lunch or something, and his brother was like, hey guys, I want to show you something. So we go into the living room and he has a clip queued up of this little girl, and I don't remember if it was from America's Got Talent or, like, but it was one of those things, and it was this little girl who had this angelic voice, and she was singing, and I think it was an a cappella rendition of, like, Somewhere Over the Rainbow or something. So he plays us the clip, and as it's playing, he looks at us and he goes, now tell me you can't picture her on a pile of bodies singing this song at the end.
Jesus Christ.
At the end of a horror movie. And as soon as he said that, I was like, holy shit, you're right.
I mean, I don't know what it is, but there's something about just, like, children's, like, singing something that's, like, innocent from childhood, and it's terrifying. Mm-hmm. Especially,
yeah, like, I gotta tell you, and we're probably gonna wind up talking about this, like, at some point in the future anyway, but, like, in what I write and what I look at, like, you know, books and movies and stuff, I love when people take something seemingly innocuous and make it terrifying. Yeah. Like, that's my favorite thing. It's like, I want, like, if I'm consuming horror, I want it to give me a complex that I never thought of before.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sign of good horror. Like,
yeah, and that's what I want to do when I write, and I feel like if I don't do that, I didn't do a good job.
I mean, yeah, I mean, a thing with horror, and a thing with a lot of writing, is that, like, most everything has been done at this point, because, I mean, we're like us as a race are, like, what? Like, we're so old.
We're old, but we're also young in the grand scheme of things.
That's true. God, we just got, like, really existential there, but, like, we
I'm not apologizing, Deacon.
We do so much, and there's so many things that have been written, and we've, like, covered basically every plot point that could ever be covered. Yeah. But somebody's always gonna have some idea that like changes it and flips it on its head a little bit. Yeah. And really, I mean, like, the sign of good horror is taking something that should be super innocent and making you terrified of it. Yep. Like, that's it should be that way. So I don't know, like, I love everything about this story.
I do too. Thank you for telling me.
It's one of my favorite news stories I've heard in a really long time.
You bet your ass I'm gonna find some way to make this my alarm now, because I will sure as shit get up on time if this is my alarm.
Please, for the love of God. Like, I can't do that to myself.
I'll make it my ringtone.
Answer immediately because I don't want to hear that shit.
No, I'll go out in the store and just like have it play, like just have somebody randomly call me every time I go out and just not bother to touch it. Pretend that everything is normal. Pretend I don't hear it.
You're evil.
Thank you.
Anyway, I think our what we were mainly wanting to talk about for is Halloween. We're not to date this episode or anything, but very, very quickly approaching October.
Yes.
So, yeah, like, I'm so excited this year. I don't know what I want to do. I'm definitely going to try and dress up. Like, I really...
Yeah, so... I don't know if I'm going to dress up this year because I don't know if you saw on my Instagram, but there are these horror movie inspired eyeshadow palettes.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's one for
Nightmare on Elm Street, and there was one
there's one for Nightmare on Elm Street and one for Friday the 13th. And I got them both. So I might just do like ridiculous makeup. The colors in it are beautiful, and I'm so looking forward to using them all year round. But, like, I just found out, so, ELF, ELF, they have this thing that's, like, it's eyelid primer and something called a sealer.
Yes.
And I had no idea what a sealer was. I just bought it because I was like, oh, well, I really need a new... primer. So I bought it, and then I was like, what the hell is this? And like, how do I use it? So rather than fuck it up, I decided not to even touch it. So after I bought the palettes, for some reason I looked up how to use it, and because I'm having issues with my eyeliner, with my liquid eyeliner, and I'm probably never using it again. So it's like, what is this sealer stuff? And will that possibly help me with this problem I'm having? Turns out, for anybody either unfamiliar with makeup or like me, unfamiliar with what that is, it basically turns your eyeshadow into eyeliner. Yes. And so now I have a shit ton of eyeliner that I never realized I had, and I'm super excited about it.
Sealer or whatever is very, very, as somebody who has done special effects makeups, and
oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about
I make monsters. That's a thing that I do.
I love your monsters too. Like the didn't you do like a demonic teddy bear?
I did.
Type
it
thing?
Was
Dr.
Deddy.
One.
That's his name.
Oh.
He.
Of course, I'd find that cute.
So, I mean, he has like a full backstory and everything too. Yeah.
You never told me the backstory.
Okay, so basically, he was a doctor in like a tuberculosis unit.
Bless.
And there was a fire, and half of his face was burned off. And him being a doctor, he was a children's doctor. Took half of a teddy bear, like the face, and grafted it onto his. And so half of his face is just a bloody teddy bear. And because he was like stuck in this abandoned tuberculosis unit for years on years on years, he kind of lost his mind. And the teddy bear that he carries around, Mr. Fluffles,
Mr. Fluffles,
is like literally a headless teddy bear that he just like carries around with him and talks to occasionally. But yeah, like it was a thing I did because we were going to he looks very scary, but he's not really. Yeah. He's actually like really sweet. It was a thing we were going to we were doing a costume crawl where I live, and basically we were like walking around town dressed in our costumes, and you could go to local businesses and get alcohol and that kind of thing, and there were a lot of children.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be a thing that was like very creepy and very scary, but I didn't want it to be a thing that would like terrify children. Like they would think that it was scary up close, and then once they actually like, you know, interacted with him, they would realize that he wasn't really all that bad. But inside Mr. Fluffles was just shit tons of candy that I had just like shoved into him. So I was carrying around this like heavy ass teddy bear. And I would be walking around and like talking to the teddy bear and stuff, and then kids would come up and they would like talk, you know, to him, and I would talk in his voice to them, and I would like invite them to reach inside of Mr. Fluffles, who had like the stuffing on the top of him had like fake blood all over it, and there was like underneath that there was like, I don't know, like goopy stuff. So that you had to like reach through all of that to get down to the bottom to get the candy, and I would have the kids just like reach in and get some candy out. And it was a fun little experience for the kids, and I didn't really want to scare them too much.
Yeah,
so
I love your brain.
Yeah, it was a thing that like I wanted to teach, you know, some of these kids that like their imaginations can be a lot worse than they think that they are, and not really to judge somebody just because they're scary. Like they might look terrifying or you know, because I have this like I love the idea and the concept, which is why I love like Monsters Inc. so much, that like monsters can be friendly. And that they're not actually just out to hurt you or harm you, and that like you might see something, you know, or be scared of a potential monster or whatever, but they might actually want to be your friend or whatever. Like that kind of concept to me has always been like really cute.
Yeah, Monsters Inc. was always one of my all-time favorites. And I don't want to get too far off topic because like we're talking about Halloween, but like that actually reminds me of a thing I saw on a show. I forget what show it was, but it was like this little girl kept talking about her imaginary friend, Mr. Gordy, and then she started to draw her imaginary friend, Mr. Gordy, and he was this terrifying looking man who had like glass and shit sticking out of him, and he was all bloody. And it turned out that like I forget what the deal was with him, but it turned out that this was actually a person who had lived, and she was probably seeing his ghost. And I mean, he was a nice man. It's just he died in a very horrible way.
Yeah, like that kind of thing for me has always been like a concept that I've loved exploring, and being like, oh, this person looks absolutely terrifying, but whenever you actually get to know them, they're not really that scary. And because I, as a kid, like there were, I don't know, like I always wanted to have like one of those like monster friends.
Oh, definitely.
And like I was like, hey, I want to do this for this like costume crawl, so that I know a lot of kids are scared on Halloween, and I want to try and nullify that fear for some of these children as much as possible, because I know they're going to be walking around and seeing all these people and seeing like people dressed up and be scared. So if I can try and take a little bit of that fear away, then I've done something good.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Little Monsters?
It's very possible. I don't remember though. Like
I think it was more my older brother's childhood than it was mine, but because he loved the movie so much, I watched it all the time. It's actually, there are parts of it that are terrifying for kids, but it's this monster character who like comes out from underneath this kid's bed and just winds up being his friend.
I definitely have seen this movie. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, but because of that movie, and like I said, there are parts of it that are terrifying for kids. I was scared of like one part in particular, but because of that, my very first imaginary friend as a tiny little baby child was a monster named Maurice after the monster from the movie.
Yeah, I mean, one of my first imaginary friends was a monster.
Yeah.
And I wanted so badly to be like to have like a monster friend. That was something that I wanted, and I still want it to this day. I think that'd be great.
Right? Well, I think we should just be our own monster friends.
I mean, it's to the point now that I'm like, hey, you know, if I like came across a monster boyfriend, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
I mean, I'd
be down.
Mazel tov.
Monsters need love too. Anyway.
Yes.
But yes, yeah. I've been doing special effects makeups for quite a while, and like this is one of those like seasons that like it's very rare that I actually get to do it, but this is like usually around the beginning of October is when I get like a shit ton of texts and calls and everything being like, hey, can you do my Halloween makeup? I want to be this. Can you turn me into this? Can you make me a monster? I want to be this for Halloween. Can you do this? And it's always like, okay, here's the supplies I'm gonna need. You'll have to go to like a Spirit Halloween and get like the supplies for me, and I can make it for you. I can do it.
Whenever it is that you come up here, feel free to practice on me however much you want. Because I'm like,
I think a few years ago, I got like super ambitious with a project that I was doing. And I was this, the best way to put it is melting man.
Okay.
So basically I was kind of inspired by, what's the name of that movie? House of Wax.
Okay.
So literally like the face, like the whole face was like liquid latex that was like just dripping all over. It was really, really difficult to make. It took me 3 to 4 weeks.
Do you have any pictures? Because I would love to actually see
Don't know if I actually have any pictures still. Like it was like really, really, really old, and I don't think I have the pictures anymore. I would have to like dig through my old computer and see if they're still there. But yeah, I mean, like I love making prosthetics. It's a lot of fun. Usually every year around this time, like I make, I think I actually still have my like claws. I have some like, like claws, like fingernail claw things. They look like werewolf claws. And I have like, I still have like pointed ear prosthetics, and I still have, like all kinds of stuff like that I've made. Where I literally, I was working on for a really long time, and you're gonna be disappointed that I've kind of never finished this.
Okay.
But so my name comes from my Dragonborn warlock in D&D, and I was sculpting him for a really long time, because I have a life cast of myself, and I was sculpting a fully working, full motion piece. So it had like a bottom jaw and a top jaw that were separated, but whenever they were put on, they were connected to one another so that I could talk and like the jaw would move. Or I had like the brow piece and stuff around it that were separate entities so that I could move my eyebrows and stuff independently. I was sculpting this big like dragon face and everything, but I've never gotten it right, and I've basically just scrapped it. Like it's sitting in my closet now, but he's just a big pile of clay, like on top of my life cast. Like I just kind of gave up. I can't.
You're right. I am very upset.
Yeah, I can't seem to get his face right, and I can't. I don't want to cast it and then hate it later. So I just kind of gave up on him.
Yeah, I get that.
But yeah, this is that time of year where I get like commissioned a bunch to do Halloween makeups and everything, and I'm super excited.
Did I ever tell you what I did for a couple of years?
What?
Okay, so my senior year of high school, they let the seniors come in costume. So I came in, my costume was Agent Elrond Smith. So I went in as Elrond, like, and my hair used to be super fucking long. Like, down to the small of my back long. And so I tied it in knots in the front like Elrond from Lord of the Rings. But I had, like, a button-up shirt and a tie, and, like, my mom let me borrow her robe, which was, like, brown. And I had, like, this gold ring on a chain, and I had these, like, and I had my sunglasses and everything. So, as a joke, I said, I have to do more Hugo Weaving characters. So the following year, I was V from V for Vendetta, and then I recycled that. Like,
V is so good.
Yeah, I recycled that costume, and by that point, when was it? Was it that point that I had bangs again? I don't remember, but, like, oh, I have to tell you, I never told you this. Okay, did I ever tell you the story about the Halloween party that never was?
No, I don't think you ever did.
Okay, so because I was not Elrond, I was V for that party as well. So, my friend, her fiance now, boyfriend at the time, went to school at Stony Brook in Long Island. Excuse me. And he and his roommates, they lived off campus in this apartment. And they were putting together a Halloween party. And my friend's parents were, like, basically as ridiculous as mine were, as far as, like, strictness and stuff like that. So she said to me, like, hey, I really want to go to this party, but my mom doesn't know I'm going to Long Island, so would you be able to come with me? Because I'm gonna have to take the train back at night. I can't just, stay over like everybody else is doing. So I was like, yeah, sure. A few days before the party, I get sick.
Aw.
Like, very, very sick. And so I tell her, and I'm like, look, I feel like hell. I'll still go if you want me to go. Just know that I'm very sick. So because I didn't want to leave her hanging and everything, and, like, I hadn't seen him in a while myself. So they put me in the back seat.
Great idea.
So it was, my friend Kat was driving, and she put me in the back, like, there were cupcakes, and my friend who I was going to the party with, like, to go home with, she felt so bad for me. She bought me my cough medicine. She bought me this giant bag of barbecue potato chips. She bought me, like, a giant water bottle. Yeah, so I'm out of it for most of the time driving up to Long Island, and Kat is like, those are fresh baked cupcakes if you want to have one or two of them, because Kat bakes everything from scratch. So they were from scratch brownies. So, cupcakes. So I was like, oh, okay. So all I had to eat that day was a couple of cupcakes and this giant ass bag of potato chips, because anything else.
Can I already tell you that
and
this is already, like, an awful combination, especially sticking you in the back seat of a car that, like, that's the one place that most people get car sick.
I don't, but here's the thing, I don't get car sick, so I'm like dying in the back seat. Casually dying in the back seat. And this was actually the first time that I ever it's funny, the shit that sticks out in your memory.
Right.
This was the first time I ever heard the band The Proto Men, because Kat was like, you like Mega Man, right? And she puts them on, and I was like, they're great. I like them. So now we're in Long Island, and we're at a stoplight. And from the stoplight, all we have to do is make a left turn, and then, like, go a little bit down this road, and then we make another left turn into a cul-de-sac, and the house where his apartment is basically right there. in the beginning of the cul-de-sac. So my friend calls her boyfriend, and she's like, hey, you know, we're basically here, we're at the light. And then I hear her go, oh, okay, all right. So I say to her, is everything okay? When she gets off the phone. And she goes, yeah, he's just not feeling well because, like, he had kidney stones. So we get into the house. We're not even there for, like, we're there for maybe 2 minutes. And then he looks at Kat and just goes, Kat, hospital.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so in the car was Kat, who was driving, my friend, the boyfriend, and one of his roommates. And there was no room for me. So now I had to stay in this place with a whole bunch of people I had never met before, and I was dying. So, like, I was so adamant, but, like, it's one of those things that, like, had I not been dying, I would have felt, like, really uncomfortable with. But by that point, I was like, I don't even fucking care. So now, I'm there with a whole bunch of people I had never met before, and let me tell you, they were the sweetest people. I passed out on this futon. And then all of a sudden I hear this voice like, you look really uncomfortable. Do you want a pillow? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So one of the roommates gets me a pillow. The next thing, I feel somebody put a blanket over me. And then I sort of wake up, and one of the roommate's girlfriends, like, saw that I was awake, and she goes, hey, I'm gonna make soup. Do you want soup? Like, they just took care of me all day until finally I woke up enough. It was the day. Do you remember when Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert had that weird rally thing that they did?
Yeah.
It was that day that this party took place. And I remember because when I was sort of awake, I went to join everybody in the other room, and they were watching it. And one of the other things I remember was I had grabbed my bag of potato chips, and I'm just standing there eating it, and I just, like, I felt weird, so I just kind of offered them to people, and I'm like, contaminated potato chips, anybody? And they were like, no, we're good. So my friend and I were supposed to leave no later than 7:30. Yeah. They didn't get back from the hospital until like 7.
Jeez.
So we had to leave immediately. And then we got, like, there was a mix up with the train, and it was this whole big thing. But yeah, that was the Halloween party that never was.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite stories because in hindsight it's hilarious, but
Jesus
2 of us
Christ.
almost didn't make it out that day.
Well, it's nice to know the Halloween people are the nicest people.
Exactly.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. I don't care.
It is.
I don't care what they say about, like, Christmas or whatever. Halloween is the most wonderful time of the year. And
dude,
it's the best, and I love it.
Christmas is more morose than Halloween ever could be, because Christmas and New Year's bring into sharp relief all of the people that are not there to celebrate with you anymore. It brings out all of your feelings of loneliness, all of the horrible, awful feelings you have.
Christmas
and Halloween chooses to celebrate weirdness, chooses to celebrate life because it is short and finite, and we should just live it up while we're here, and it is amazing.
Yeah, like, I don't know, like, Halloween is typically a celebration of life and I guess in a weird way a celebration of death, but at the same time, like, Christmas and the holiday season thereafter usually tends to be, like, literally it's when suicide rates spike. Like, every year, consistently, statistically, around, like, the end of Thanksgiving into Christmas is when suicide rates go through the roof because there's so many people killing themselves rather than wanting to celebrate Christmas. Like,
yeah, it's horrible.
Halloween is the most wonderful time of the year, and I will fight anybody who says otherwise.
Like, it's this really weird thing, but on October 1st, every year, without fail, I will wake up and just feel this surge of energy that has not been with me all year. And I'll just, like, I'll feel different. I'll feel better. I feel much more revitalized all throughout October.
Once you get to October, it's like, it's like everything changes. And I don't know what it is. Like, for me, we just...
It's like magic is literally in the air.
Yeah, like, literally. Like, everything becomes really spoopy. Everywhere is, like, you know, like, super getting into it. And it's totally celebrated to go places and have people jump out and scream at you. Like, I don't know. Like, I love it. It's totally acceptable to buy 50 bags of candy and eat it all by yourself.
But that's the thing. It's like, and anybody out there, and Nick Spheres just did a video about it, and her video is fantastic. But, like, anybody who grew up who was the quote-unquote weird kid will probably understand what even if they're not from some place that celebrates Halloween, or, you know, even if Halloween doesn't resonate with them, I think most of the rest of the weird kids out there will understand when I say that that's one of the beautiful things that I've always loved about Halloween, because I was always the weird kid. I was always the freak. I was always, you know, like, what's wrong with you? And then all of a sudden, everybody was doing the same things I was. Everybody was suddenly into the same things I was around Halloween. And it was like, like, now we're getting to celebrate my weirdness in a way. And, you know,
like,
and it's this funny thing, because when I was a tiny child, I wore weird like a badge of honor. I didn't care. I loved it. It was only as I got older and like people started to like make me feel very other, that it started to feel like I was, like, maybe it wasn't normal or whatever. But yeah, like, I fucking love this holiday because I feel like this is the one time of year where it's totally okay to be myself.
Yeah, and, like, for me, like, Halloween and October and this season in general for me is, like, it's extremely important to me. And I don't know, this is, like, the one time of year that I get, like, extremely nostalgic. On, like, October 1st, every year, it's, like, just this entire wave of nostalgia just, like, washes over me, and I have it with me from, like, October 1st until the end of October 31st, and I usually cry November 1st because it's over. Like,
dude, I feel like November 1st, I feel like somebody just, like, tore my heart out and stomped on it in front of me.
This is the one time of year that, like, I don't know, like, this is where all of those, like, movies that I adored as a kid, like Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus and everything like that just, like, comes out in full force, and they're like, hey, we're gonna, like, put these on TV, and we're gonna have the 13 days of Halloween, and or the 31 days of Halloween, and, you know, that's why I always say that Halloween, and I mentioned this earlier on Discord, but I was like, Halloween is a way of life. It's not a holiday. Like,
exactly.
It's not, like, there's when you're like me, and again, I've always been the weird kid. I've always been the kid that's been, like, into super weird, morbid, like, odd things throughout my entire life. Like, I talked to some friends the other day, and they were like, so, you know, I'm going into this thing, and I'm I just came back from the army and blah blah blah, and, like, my thing has always been like, yeah, hopefully within, like, the next year or so I get to go to school to become a funeral director. And they were like, literally, out of anybody that we went to school with, I always knew that it was going to be you. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, I always knew that you were going to be the person who wanted to, like, work in the death industry. And they were like, it was just super obvious. It was painted all over you from the get-go. And I'm like, well, I'll take that as a super huge compliment. But
yeah, no, but like I mentioned Nick Sphere's video before, but like watching the video and seeing how she has her apartment set up, like that is literally my dream setup. Like since I was a kid, I was always like, man, when I have my own place, it's just gonna be Halloween all year round, and I'm just gonna have like Halloween decorations everywhere.
I want to have Halloween decorations everywhere, all throughout the house.
Yeah,
like I want it to be super cool and like a little, you know, everybody has like, you know, Christmas starts super early every single year, and it seems like it's getting earlier and earlier every year, and it feels like it's gonna eventually get to a point that like we're gonna tick over into, you know, the new year, and then Christmas is gonna start again. Like that's what it's starting to get to. And like I don't know, like I'm in the same boat as you. I want to decorate my house whenever I'm able to get one of my own that like it's all just Halloween all the time. It's like creepy, morbid decorations everywhere.
Okay, so like what I'm hearing
that we need to live together. That's exactly what I'm hearing. Because that's what I want. I want my house to be like an escape from everything else. I want it to be like, oh, are you getting super tired of, you know, having to deal with Christmas and all these other holidays and the bullshit of everything else? Why don't you come to my house where it's literally Halloween all year round, and it's the most fun holiday of the year, and it's the one time that you can just kind of let yourself go.
Yeah, and we'll have like a candy bowl like in the corner.
I mean, and you know, a thing for me is that there are times that I just enjoy dressing up just to dress up. Like I do that during the year. I'm just like, hey, you know, all these Halloween costumes that I've had for years on years on years, I want to wear one just to wear one. I'm actually, like I don't want to spoil it, but I'm working on something. I have some money at my disposal, and I'm about to be buying a helmet that looks like a certain bug sniper. So I may be working on his costume soon, and I might actually be able to wear that on an episode one time. I'm
oh my god, I'd love it.
I was looking into it the other day, and I was like, I have the money for this. I could do this. So it might actually become a thing. I'm thinking about buying his jacket and getting like a purple morph suit, and
that would be amazing.
I'm excited. I really want to make it happen.
I mean, all I can do is dress up like Axl Rose, because that was last year's Halloween costume.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I wanna have a place where like people can come over, and if they want to just come over and have second Halloween, because again, I still really think that we should get rid of fucking Valentine's Day and just have second Halloween.
Thank you!
Like,
that's exactly what I was about to say.
Nobody likes Valentine's Day. I don't care if you say that you like Valentine's Day. Nobody likes Valentine's Day. So what we should do is have second have second Halloween, which will be the day after my birthday.
Yes, it would be perfect. Like, here's the thing. Like, I've been single for a really long ass time. I'm totally fine being single. In a lot of ways, I prefer it. However, like, because I'm single, like, or rather, despite the fact that I'm single, I'm never one of those people that feels, like, really shitty on Valentine's Day. If, whether or not I'm in a relationship, I think Valentine's Day is really, like...
It's a corporate holiday. It was invented just to sell candy. Like, that's... I mean, Halloween is similar, but it was... Halloween was invented for different reasons.
There's history behind
that's what I was about to say.
Like, there's history behind it.
There's a lot of history behind Halloween,
like,
and it...
There is a bit of history, to be fair. There is a little bit of history behind Valentine's Day, but it's way, like, it's richer for Halloween. But aside from that, like, if you are lucky enough to be with somebody that you love, who loves and supports you, you should celebrate that in little ways every single
throughout
day.
The year, and not just one day.
No matter
fucking
exactly,
February.
Because no matter what the Hallmark Channel will lead you to believe, that is rare, and it is uncommon, and it is special. And not everybody gets that. So, you know, like, I don't understand what the point of overpriced candy is.
Yeah. Like I said,
like, you know, to celebrate love.
What I've always wanted to do is, and this is what I told my mom when I was a lot younger, but I always want to take, like, I want to have a house that's decorated all spooky and Halloween all the time, all year round. And that way that on the shitty holidays where, like, or just randomly when people are kind of feeling down or morose or whatever during the year, you can just be like, hey, I'm going to have a Halloween in the middle of July party. Want to come over? And we can dress up and, you know, we'll give out candy. We'll watch spooky movies and like that. I really want to do that.
Do you know what I really want to do? Do you know what I really want to do? You know those skeleton things, like those, like the animals and stuff?
Oh, skull animals?
not even that, but like the posable skeletons that you can
I thought
get
you were talking
now.
about like the plushies.
I love those though. I forget which animal I have. I think it's supposed to be a panda, but I wanted the cat, but I couldn't find the cat. But I really want to do like the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
Ooh.
Like, I'm dying to do that.
But yeah, so what I'm hearing is that we need to get an apartment together and decorate it. And but I mean, what we'd have to do though is like we'd have to order all of our decorations online, because by the time we actually got a place, it probably wouldn't be October.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's all the time that we have for this episode. But really appreciate you guys listening. I hope you guys
very, very much.
Hope you guys, you know, we are coming up on October, so I hope that even if this episode doesn't come out until, you know, the middle of October or something like that, I hope that you have been having a wonderful October and it's been very spoopy and you've been enjoying yourselves, and you guys are just as nostalgic for this holiday as we are. But yeah, so until next time, everybody, sweet dreams.